so today I'm going to be talking to you about adding and subtracting matrices. So first and foremost, to add or subtract any matrices, they have to be the same size. So yesterday we looked at the size of a matrix being based on the number of rows and the number of columns. So to add and subtract matrices, they both have to have the same number of rows and they both have to have the same number of columns. If that's true, then to add or subtract them, you add or subtract entries that are in the same position. So you would subtract or add the entry in the first row and the first column of one matrix and the entry that's in the first row and the first column of the other matrix. So, for example, if we have the problem here we go. So if we have the matrix 2, 3, 1, 4 plus negative 1, 5, 7, 9, we first need to check if they're the same size. So I actually like to come down below each matrix and write its size out so I can compare them. So this first matrix has 1, 2 rows, so that would be the first number in the size, and then 1, 2 columns. So that would be the second number. So we have a 2 by 2 matrix here. And for our second matrix, we have 1, 2 rows and 1, 2 columns. So another 2 by 2 matrix. So since both of these are 2 by 2 matrices, that means we can add them together. And when we do add them together, we're going to get a matrix that's still a 2 by 2 matrix. So we add the entries that are in the same positions. So starting with this 2 right here, that's in row 1 and column 1. So the number I'm going to add to it is going to be in row 1 and column 1 of the second matrix. So 2 plus negative 1 is 1. So that's going to be in that same position, row 1, column 1, in our answer matrix. Next, I go left to right. You can go in any order that you want to, but I go over to the right to this 3. So I need the entry that's in row 1, column 2. So looking over here, the number that corresponds is this 5. So I'm going to do 3 plus 5, which gives us 8. So I did all of row 1. I added the corresponding entries together. Next, I move on to row 2. So I have a 1 here. And the entry that matches from my other matrix is a 7. So 1 plus 7 is 8. And finally, I come down here to the 4. And I'm going to add the entries that match. So 4 and 9, well 4 plus 9 is 13. So now that I've added all of my entries together, I get an answer which is a 2 by 2 matrix. I have the matrix 1, 8, 8, 13. So that would be my answer when I added those two matrices together. So next we're going to look at an example where we subtract with matrices. Still going to follow that same basic strategy, but now instead of adding the two matrices together, we're going to subtract with their entries. So if we have the matrix 1, 5, 6, 7, 3, 9 minus 3, 2, negative 1, 4, 6, negative 5. If I want to subtract these, I still need to first check the sizes of the matrices and make sure they're the same. So looking at this matrix, I've got 1, 2, 3 rows and 1, 2 columns. So this is a 3 by 2. Looking over at my next matrix, I've got 1, 2, 3 columns, 3 rows, and then 1, 2 columns. So this is a 3 by 2 as well. So because they're the same size, we are going to be able to subtract them. So when we subtract, we're going to subtract the entries that are in the same positions in each matrix. So starting here with 1, the number that's in the same position in the other matrix is 3. But instead of adding those together like we just did on the last problem, we're going to subtract. So 1 minus 3 gives us negative 2. And when we write that in our answer, we put it in the same position that the other entries were in. So next, I move over to the 5. And the entry in the other matrix that's in the same position is the 2. So 5 minus 2 is 3. Next, we come down down to 6, and we do 6 minus negative 1. 6 minus negative 1 is 7. Next we have 7 minus 4, and 7 minus 4 is 3. And then we come down here at the very last row, and we have 3 minus 6, which is negative 3. And then 9 minus negative 5, and 9 minus negative 5 is going to be 14. So this would be our answer matrix. And so notice it still has 1, 2, 3 rows and 2 columns, just like both of our matrices did in the subtraction problem. All right, we're going to look at one more example, and then that's going to be it on adding and subtracting matrices. So for our last example, we have the matrix 6, 7, 1, 3, 11, negative 2, plus 9, 1, 3, 5. So I want to go ahead and try and add these matrices together. So to add them together, this is why I have rule number 1. I need to check and make sure their sizes are the same. So if I look at this first matrix, I have 1, 2 rows, and then 1, 2, 3 columns. So the first matrix is a 2 by 3. In my second matrix, I have 1, 2 rows. So they have the same number of rows, but when I go to look at the number of columns, this second matrix only has 2 columns. So the second matrix is a 2 by 2. And if we try and add matrices that aren't the same size together, we start to run into problems. On the last problem, we added matrices that were in the same location, or added entries that were in the same location. Well, when I get to column number 3 over here, I don't have an entry in that same position here. I run out of numbers to add together. So we can only add matrices that are the same size. So since these are different sizes, this problem would have no solution. All right, that's it for adding and subtracting matrices. Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours.